to the national championship. Clemson head coach Dabo Swinney said it's appropriate that an Alabama grad snapped Auburn's winning streak.
That's a fair point. Coming up short of the first down is Ricky Marbre. Keenan Robinson on the stop. So again, UCLA in a position where they have to go for it on 4th down and about 1.5 yards.
And a good decision, obviously, to go hurry up right here.
They'll try and run for it. Franklin tripped up. He might be short. It looks like UCLA has turned it over on downs right back to Texas. They'll measure to make it official, but he's a half-yard shot, at least. Manny Diaz's defense is a fun group to watch.
Yeah, it really ties in well with this entire team right now, because offensively, they're the same way.
And there's the turnover on downs, making it official. You also got the sense from Mack Brown, as Rick Neuheisel continues to have a frustrating afternoon, that there is a level of enthusiasm that has been regenerated for his football team just by the youth of these assistant coaches. We'll talk more about that when we come back.
ESPN's College Football on ABC, brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings, wings, beer, sports, and Nissan, proud partner of the Heisman Trophy.
Some of the famous faces that have put on a display here in the Rose Bowl. Of course, the latest of which, the BCS championship game. Mark Ingram and Nick Saban get to kiss the crystal football after they took out Texas last year. But Phil Simms and the Giants win the Super Bowl back in 1987. Randy Chastain, of course, the U.S. women's soccer team victorious. And Vince Young put on a performance for the ages and a game for the ages. National championship win for Texas.
He talked about those new coaches at Texas, 5 new coaches on the staff. And Mack said he wanted to start over. He wanted out. He wanted to have new blood, fresh blood, and you made the point that he's energized by it. I think that's valid. You know, just watching his body language on the sidelines, particularly against BYU in that second half. I mean, it's not taking anything for granted. You're coaching every down with these young guys.
Fozzie Whitaker looks like he has another Texas first down as we take a look at Coach Davey's focus points and how they've come to fruition.
I think the first one's a home run. Not only managing the quarterback situation, managing personnel overall. Just saw Fozzie Whitaker with another carry. Young players protect the ball. That was excellent today. Commit to stop the run. Think back a year ago in Austin. They gave up 263 yards rushing to UCLA. So, I mean, this is an A on the report card for these coaches today from Texas. I think an excellent job.
Malcolm Brown moves the pile for about 2 yards. Stopped on the UCLA 38-yard line by Nate Chandler. Well, Brian Harsin, Major Applewhite, the co-offensive coordinators for Mack Brown. We talked about Manny Diaz as the defensive coordinator. What about getting coaches infused into a coaching staff all in their mid-30s? I mean, it's just maybe a different mindset, a different way to approach the game. Young minds that have kind of reinvigorated Mack Brown.
Yeah, Mack said they don't have the scars on them like the older coaches. They haven't been beat up as much. You know.
Fozzie Whitaker for about a pair.
But I think, you know, what a great opportunity. I mean, you're Manny Diaz at such a young age, what, 34 years old. You're the defensive coordinator at the University of Texas. And you're Brian Harsin at 33 years old, the offensive coordinator at Texas. With this kind of talent, I mean, you really have no reason not to be successful. And he hired 2 guys that I think outside the box a little bit. You know, they do some untraditional things.
Direct snap to Jackson Shipley and a little counter handoff. That looks Boise State-ish as DJ Monroe gets bumped out of bounds, maybe 2 yards shy of the first down. It'll set up 4th down and 2 for Texas.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you just go for it right here. Biggest question you have, who's your quarterback?
Case LaCoy will come back in. 4th down and 2.
guess the question would be moving forward, if Texas falls behind in a game, are they capable to throw it well enough to win? And who is that quarterback to throw it? Do you bring Gilbert back in if you fall behind and try to throw it with him?
McCoy will throw forward on 4th and 2 here.
Wow.
Buys some extra time, and he finds Shipley. Shipley wrestled down inside the 20-yard line by Sheldon Price. Again, an example, though, of Case McCoy buying a little bit of extra time, and Jackson Shipley able to break free.
Man, he's fun to watch. I mean, again, this all-22 will show you just a guy making a play, keeping it alive at quarterback. You know, how do you evaluate this stuff? You know, out of high school, some guys are bigger, some guys are stronger. You know, some guys look like the prototype quarterback. Well, here's a guy like Case that doesn't look like any of those things, except his brother was a star player.
Direct snap to Fozzie Whitaker, and he's up the middle for 6 more.
I mean, you stand down there in pregame and look at Case McCoy, but I remember Colt was like that. You look at Colt as a young freshman or sophomore, he thought he was 12 years old. I mean, they're kind of late maturing guys, but not the biggest, strongest guy. I mean, you stand him next to Garrett Gilbert, it's not close, but he has shown today a little Doug Flutie type of scramble, throw on the run ability.
Malcolm Brown to about the 10-yard line, while the quarterbacks have combined for 16 of 19 passing today for Texas. And you know what, Coach? If it was all about what you looked like getting off the bus, then Drew Brees wouldn't be going to the Hall of Fame, and Jeff George would be.
You're right.
You know, so obviously there's a lot more, and you know this better than anyone, about what goes into playing the position, other than, you know, your 40 time, how hard you could throw it, and how big you are.
Yeah, and then some guys do it in the game. Don't necessarily turn you on in practice that much. There's some great players who never got their opportunity because they weren't very good practice players.
3rd down and 2. Malcolm Brown again. It's very close to another Texas first down. Maybe a half-yard shy. It'll be 4th down, and no doubt Texas will probably go for it again.
Texas on the road the next 2 weeks. I thought it was interesting, Mac coming out here with all these young freshmen on their first trip. You know, a lot of kids in Texas, particularly at the University of Texas, they commit to Texas early. Some of these kids, it's their first flight ever coming out here. He assigned an older player, kind of a big brother, to each freshman to kind of guide them through what it's like to be on these trips.
4th down and a yard. Play clock down to 2, down to 1, and Texas has to spend a timeout. So we will step aside as well. The Longhorns, very impressive today. A brand new show on ESPN. Join Susie Culver, Chris Mortensen, and a rotating cast of NFL analysts and guests in ESPN's latest unscripted show, NFL 32. Experts discuss the biggest topics of the day from all 32 NFL teams. NFL 32 each weeknight at 6 Eastern on ESPN2 as we return from break after the Texas timeout. 4th down and a half-yard. The lone setback, Malcolm Brown. And they'll try and sneak it with Case McCoy. That will be good for a Longhorn first down. And now they'll be able to take the clock down inside of a minute to go, just about.
We saw Larry Scott, commissioner of the Pac-12, came in before the game, who's done an outstanding job. Interesting to see what develops over the next couple weeks, particularly with the Big 12.
Well, one article in Austin suggested there was a chance that the most logical spot for Texas to end up might be the ACC. There was also a report in the New York Times that Pittsburgh and Syracuse have both discussed the possibility of moving to the ACC.
Wow. The thought
so
of
that
Texas
could completely shake apart the Big East, even as a basketball conference.
It's hard to picture Texas in the ACC, though, isn't it?
Cody Johnson into the end zone for some icing on the cake as Texas has done all they could do to pass their road test this weekend. 48-20 on top of UCLA.
It has to feel good to finish it with a power run like that. Something that Mac really talked about, emphasized all offseason. He wanted this football team to be more physical. You're just going to see the off-tackle play right there with the lead blocker, but really nobody at home for UCLA. But it doesn't matter. I mean, Texas accomplished everything they wanted to. You've watched this football team improve steadily week by week. Texas fans have to leave out of here really excited about the future.
49 points on the road for the Longhorns. What a performance here at the Rose Bowl. Texas possessions and 7 Texas touchdowns. 49 points later, they have better than doubled up UCLA in their home building. 2:57 to go in the fourth quarter of a road test weekend for number 23. And the Longhorns about to improve to 3-0 to start off the season after a disastrous 5-7 record last year. And we say disastrous, I mean that is as good as 0-11 if you are a Texas fan, because the standards that Mack Brown has set about as off the charts as you could hope for, as another high short kick will result in a fair catch for UCLA. And this is a program that has 6 11+ win seasons in the 11 years. The last 11 years with Mack Brown at the helm, they had 4 11-win seasons in the history of the program before Mack Brown took over. So they're used to being in the top 10. They're used to being a Big 12 champion. They're used to being a dominant team at home. And last year, to lose not only the way that they lost to UCLA at home, but to lose as many games at home last year as they had lost in the previous decade in one season. Amazing. Brijo floats one, and it's dropped by Fourier. UCLA's focus points today for Coach Davey, and obviously you could tell on the scoreboard they fell short.
Yeah, I think the first one, you can see right there, a lot of drop passes, not real efficient in the passing game. They had to stay in running down situations. Look at 3rd and 4 or less, they averaged 6.7 on 3rd down. Improved passing game, 3 interceptions, first 4 drives, several drop passes, didn't accomplish that. Stop the run, I don't think they did that. So Texas with 248 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. But you look at Texas going forward again. You know, they're in a league with Texas A&M, who's going to score a lot of points. Oklahoma State's going to score a lot of points. Oklahoma's going to score a lot of points. Texas defense really is going to have to play outstanding as this offense continues to develop, because I'm not sure they're ready to put 49 points on the Oklahoma States and those teams. But they're in a conference that is really explosive. Some great passing teams in the Big 12.
3rd down and 10. Brijo to Rosario. He can't haul it in. It'll be 4th and 10 after we check in with Robert Flores.
Bob, South Carolina is 2-0, and their defense has been good and terrible. 79 points allowed in the first 2 games, and here Navy's John Howe gets them for a 27-yard run. South Carolina did answer and now tied 7 apiece, end of 1.
All right, Robert, thanks very much. As South Carolina is getting a taste of what has to be about as big a pain in the neck team as there is to play in college football.
Took the words out of my mouth. Nobody wants to see Navy come to town.
Locke's punt rolls all the way down inside the 5-yard line.
Locke has to be our MVP for UCLA. 49, 51-yard field goal. He's not even the starting kicker. And will be an NFL punter.
His career is over 44-yard average here at UCLA. So Texas with the ball at their own 5-yard line, and that actually brings them right in front of the burnt orange traveling contingent, because the majority of Texas fans are sitting right in the end zone behind where the Texas offense lines up. That's about the only group left inside the Rose Bowl, so they'll have a chance to kind of celebrate with their team right on the doorstep here. Joe Bergeron across the 20. Another true freshman running back for Texas out to the 32-yard line. Aaron Hester ran him out. 27-yard run for Joe Bergeron.
Challenge is for Rick Neuheisel and UCLA, where they go from here. You know, they lose to